Good morning, Awoken. Happy Tuesday morning to you guys. Hope you're having a wonderful morning to start out your Tuesday. Welcome back to another episode of Awoken with Aulden. Per usual, and as always, I am your host, Aulden S. Nant, the Purple Sovereign. We're in blue today, no purple today, however. We have a couple major political developments in the last 24 hours that we're going to be talking about today. We are a little, a couple of emergencies, an emergency for the Grand Platner campaign of Maine, the Democratic nominee who has been now voted in by the primary voters to be the nominee. We see yesterday afternoon, another allegation against the Senate hopeful was released yesterday, alleging more sexual assault charges and allegations that in 2021 Platner assaulted a woman, sexually assaulted a woman. So yeah, not good for the Platner campaign. We see, additionally, after this story drops, we see the Maine Democratic Party rescind support and urge him to exit the race. We see Chuck Schumer, Kirsten Gillibrand, Ruben Gallego, other senators and members of Congress that had previously endorsed the Senate hopeful call also urge him to suspend his campaign and leave the race. Additionally, we are going to be looking at he has basically 6 days left, or the Maine Democrats, I should say, have about 6 days left for him to resign so they can plug in another candidate. And where have we heard that before? Second cycle in a row, Democrats are going to kneecap the nominee and replace him with somebody that got minimal primary support or zero primary support. We'll see who the Maine Democrats end up nominating ultimately, but it's like it won't be Grand Platner. They have until the 13th. Platner has until the 13th to drop out. And then I think 2 weeks after that, the Maine Democrats have to finalize whoever their candidate is going to be against Susan Collins. And why is this race so critically important in particular is Susan Collins is, in terms of GOP incumbents running for office, she is by far the most endangered and most at risk of losing her seat. It's history shows us Democrats will typically do a little better than average in a midterm cycle, right? You know, they don't have this building or that building or 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So they're fired up, ready to go. So that typically hurts the party in power, you know, kind of Super Bowl hangover type deal. So, and Collins, yeah, she's going to have to still run a solid campaign. We'll see who the Maine Democrats go after and nominate ultimately. What's going on, Putt King? Hope you had a great 4th. Yeah, wonderful 4th of July. So much stuff was going on here in D.C. Plenty of fun had by all. I believe the fireworks show started a little later than maybe we hoped for, but ultimately that wasn't going to stop us from celebrating 250. What's going on, Ray Blue? Such crowd. Yeah, lots of people in the stream already. Pretty excited. And Colonel says Platner is too white and too male to run as a Democrat. Yeah, and we see a lot of these Democratic candidates that are winning primaries, these socialist candidates. Most of them are women and immigrants. So those are two things Graham Platner is not. 2020. Yeah, thank you, Ray Blue. So here, we'll get a poll today. So yeah, we got a little poll for you guys out here today. Should Graham Platner drop out? Very simple, yes or no. 2026 says, Dems don't protect sexual assaulters. Republicans can stop any time now. Well, the thing is, Platner denies the allegations, though. So how can we be certain he's guilty, right? Important to say, Platner has denied the allegations against him. And but there's a lot, the allegations, they're just kind of snowballing and mounting up against him. It's just really challenging for him right now to, it's just been negative, it's been hit piece and negative story after another. And I think it's really causing a crisis for the campaign, ultimately. But our second story that we're going to be talking about is, where's Mitch McConnell? He's not here. He has not cast a Senate vote since June 11th. And we know he's been hospitalized since June 14th. Pretty frightening stuff there. Jakale Sam says, Trump praises U.S. Turkey ties in many ways, much more loyal than other countries we thought would be loyal. Wow, damn. Yeah, that's pretty damning, I'd say there. JHAKKL says evidence is too strong. Yeah, it's just a lot of evidence right now against Platner and company. And the fact that all the major Democratic groups like the DSCC, the Maine Democratic Party, Chuck Schumer, all those guys have called on him to suspend the campaign and leave and drop out. So not looking good for Platner. Let's just say that. What's going on? What my old name? How are you doing, brother? Yeah, dude. Good morning. Yeah, good one, Colonel. What's going on, Yvette Lopez 9039? Thank you for joining the stream. So hey, everybody. Before we really hop into things, make sure you guys leave the video a like. Also hit that subscribe button as well. Additionally, we have our Discord. We would love you to join. I was on there with Ethan and Z pretty late last night. We had a pretty good fun debate, good political chit chat and talk. That was a lot of fun. So you guys definitely want to make sure you're in there. You can find the link to that in our description. Our description for the YouTube page. Yeah, just go to my YouTube page and hit that link to join the Discord. And additionally, we have the super chat feature, so we would love you to. We're trying to save up for a big August travel trip. Go hit some campaign stops. Go to some campaign rallies and speeches and talk to a couple of these swing district candidates. So would love your support. Ask me a tough question. Ask me somewhere you'd like me to go in Washington, D.C. We can definitely do that. We are mobile this morning. We're going to be chilling by the Capitol to start out the stream, but we'll be periodically bouncing around D.C. as well. Oh, yeah. So I guess we can all, stop pretending to like soccer or be soccer fans. Not a good performance last night from Team USA. Came out pretty flat. The player that was reinstated um, the player that was reinstated ultimately, I don't think really made a difference ultimately. And just the team, Belgium, they just kind of came out maybe with a chip on their shoulder, just saying, hey, we get to play the big old USA. And yeah, it just really was never competitive, honestly. Even when the US tied it, Belgium retook the lead, I think 61 seconds later. So it was never really super competitive, I think. So not great, let's just say that, for Team USA and company. So that was, yeah, it was kind of cool. But now we can all pretend, or stop pretending to be soccer fans and get ready for real football, the National Football League this fall. What's going on, Arthur? Thank you for joining the stream, Arthur. What's going on, Randall? Good morning, brother. Sam says he's going. Yeah, like I think he might drop out during the stream. I think even. But no, there's no way he's going to be the nominee. I think now. I think there's too many internal. To your point, Sam, left-leaning lobbies or institutions like the official DSCC, the PAC that's designed for Democrats to gain the majority in the Senate, announced that if he remained the nominee, he would not, they would not support him financially. So he's in big trouble. I think the question is now the Dems, they need a replacement candidate. And the problem is they already tried. The establishment tried with Janet Mills, and her campaign never really got off the ground. Ultimately, she had to suspend her campaign back in I think like April or something. Yeah, like a long time ago. The incumbent governor of Maine tried to mount a Senate bid for the open seat, but she just never really gained any traction ultimately, and she had to suspend her campaign. So pretty tough for her as well. So Maine Democrats, they're just going to be in a kerfuffle right now. I don't think they really know what to do. I haven't really heard like maybe Jared Goldman, but he's retiring from the House. I don't think he'd have any desire to run. And I don't think he'd do any better than Mills, probably, because the Democratic voting base right now is like more with AOC than Chuck Schumer, I think. And that's going to be a problem for these more centrist candidates, I think, that aren't incumbents as well. So I think that's the dilemma Maine Democrats are in right now. So they got to find a replacement candidate soon. So, yeah, out of the most endangered incumbent Republican, Susan Collins, she is looking like she's in a lot better shape than she was. Now, does that mean she's going to win automatically? No, but if there's anyone that can win, it's her in Maine. So we'll see. We'll see how the Susan Collins campaign and team responds to all of this. I believe she released a statement yesterday, something along the lines of, I'm troubled or I'm deeply concerned about these allegations, but ultimately it's not up to me to decide who the Democrats nominate in Maine. So she's just kind of, she gets a little bit of safe time. She can use this time to beef up fundraising and do some prospect search on some of these maybe other candidates that they are hearing about that might run against her ultimately. I'm trying 2026 says Platner voters wouldn't vote for MAGA leaning Golden. Yeah, I think that's the problem. I agree. 2026 is that Golden is probably too moderate or too centrist to have the appetite for a lot of those more progressive and DSA type voters that are clearly the main voting bloc in the primary, especially in these bluer states or bluer districts, as we saw in New York City last week or a couple weeks ago. All the candidates that were backed by Zoran and AOC and company trounced the candidates backed by Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and the establishment. So that is, yeah, it's definitely a little data point that we'll look back on as this race evolves in the future. So, okay, so let's read a couple of comments here. Yeah, Collins is concerned again. They're not DSA voters in Maine. They're tired of Republican incompetence and corruption. Well, the thing is, that's Susan Collins. That's her golden card, is that she's never really been alleged of being corrupt or like being a sellout necessarily, because she will vote with the Democrats a good chunk of the time, to where she can say, hey, I will work with both parties. I'll do this for Maine. I'll put Maine first, or, whatever her spiel is. She can go back to that whenever she feels maybe the walls are closing in, or something isn't looking right. Okay. Good morning, Z. Thanks for, good morning. Yeah, dude, that was a fun voice chat in the Discord last night with you and Ethan. Sorianis says, Aulden, I still think Susan is not going to win. Yeah, we'll see who the replacement candidate is for the Democrats. I think that will be a big tell. If it's some generic guy, I don't know. But maybe if it's some guy that excites AOC type voters, then maybe, who knows? We'll see what scandals. Yeah, that person probably has some type of scandal. We'll see what it is, and see if they can try and define Susan Collins in a different way that Sarah Gideon was not able to in 2020. Okay. Brad Hengley says, good morning, Brad. Thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Yeah, another pretty cloudy day here in Washington. There was some rain last night. It's been raining on and off for the last couple of days with, 250. There was some rain on America 250 that ultimately delayed the show, delayed the fireworks show. So let's go to the maybe not the more pressing story, but what could be the juicier story of the two. And we'll get back to Maine here. But in Kentucky, it's looking like Mitch McConnell and company, this could be a big deal. There's reporting all over that it's essentially not looking good at all for the Kentucky senator. There's Laura Loomer and Desiree Townsend. Desiree's an independent reporter here in DC. She's been doing a really solid job of keeping the pressure on this Mitch McConnell story. She's been reporting outside of the George Washington Hospital for the past several weeks now, ever since I think he was hospitalized almost. And we see, some allegations are claiming that he's brain dead or a vegetable. Others are saying that he will not return to the Senate. There's also concerning and troubling reports of the wife Elaine Chao fleeing or going to China shortly after he was hospitalized, which that raises that should raise a lot of questions. And the thing is, we don't know if she has returned. That's one of the, yeah, Colonel, yeah. So we don't know where she is. There's something definitely going on there with her, in some capacity, at least. And we don't really know. The updates from McConnell's office and staff have been minimal. It's been very generic updates, something among the lines of the senator is doing better, he's recovering well, he's still working for Kentucky, and then they'll leave it at that. Or it's something like the senator's condition continues to improve, he can't wait to get back, and that's kind of it. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's been very, very generic, they're all positive, positive leaning, and we don't really know what's going on. So there is some transparency concerns for sure. Yeah, Carl. Yeah, there's been some reporting that he's brain dead, that he is like living on machines right now. And there is an important date with this as well, because I think there's like an August 3rd deadline. So that, like, if he passes away before August 3rd, there has to be a special election for the seat. If not, then I think it can be left alone, or no special election needs to happen before, because his seat is due up in November anyway. So like, this is what would have been his final term, not running for re-election anyway, but there are some calendar dates in mind and in question that definitely complicate things for the GOP, and McConnell McConnell and establishment and company, I should say. Barron says, how old is Graham? Oh, he can't be any older than 55, probably. I don't think he's 60. He's probably in his 50s, is my guess. Colonel says Dianne Feinstein was in great health the day before she died. Yeah, they always, she actually voted on the Senate floor the day before she passed away. So at least she was in a more mobile spot. Platner is 42. There's a couple years short. Yeah, I think he's been in office since like the 80s. Z says, looked into it some, seems like Elaine Chao has returned to the United States. Okay. Well, I guess that makes things a little better, but still very odd. Like, see, I've never been married, but let's assume that one of my parents was hospitalized. I would not be leaving the country at all. And if, I'd be going to the hospital right away. I'd be going home immediately. So I don't see how she could stay there very long. Very troubling. Yeah, only raises more questions. Mr. Yes. Yeah, Platner with the Nazi. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he survived that scandal. It's just the one about him allegedly, sexually assaulting this woman back in 2021 is the straw that broke the camel's back, because Ro Khanna, we've interviewed Ro Khanna before. Ro Khanna, Chuck Schumer, other DNC staff and personnel have all said it, we're done supporting you if you stay in the race anyway. So I think the financial plug has been pulled on Platner, so I don't think he really has a choice. The question is the replacement candidate. That's what they have to figure out. And that's why he maybe hasn't dropped out this moment yet. They got to find somebody quickly. Because it is early July. Like time, there's 119 days until the midterms, I think. Yeah, we're starting to count down a little bit. So we're 119 days out. That's enough time to field somebody brand new for office, but it's not like forever. You know, like the primary was back in June, so they lost an entire month. You know, that's just kind of wasted now. Yeah, they'll have to fundraise aggressively hard to get him back on, whoever the next candidate is, back on track. So this definitely damages the Democratic chance of winning in Maine for sure. Does it doom it? I don't think so, but Susan, she's in a little better shape, I think, than she was, potentially. What's going? Good morning, G Money Forever. Thank you for joining the stream, brother. He says the McConnell Chow marriage is entirely political. Marriage in D.C. is a total institution than outside the Beltway. D.C. marriages are for influence and social status more than love. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on here. Lots of people, you know, will often claim that it's like maybe not this specific marriage, but some marriages are, you know, kind of like an arranged marriage of sorts. Yeah, it's like these people were brought together by other people. You know, they maybe didn't meet organically, let's say. So I think that makes a good question there. What's going on, Erdogan? Good morning, sir. Suriana says some Democrat said Platner is too masculine to be the Democratic nominee. Yeah, I think the Colonel pointed that out, that he's too white and too much of a man to be a Democrat. Let's see some other comments here. Hank the Cow Dog says, are you going to be doing your walk around DC on Thursday? I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we'll be live streaming Thursday. Yeah, I'm not sure where we will be. We'll just kind of have to keep, you know, following these updates and see a good location for us to stream from. But I do think it is. Yeah, we'll probably be live Thursday. Mr. Good Citizen says, now hang on, Lincoln was 100% conservative. Now they're trying to reappropriate conservatives' history. Haha. I'm not even MAGA. LOL. Yeah, that's absolutely. What's going on, bros? 3141 says, don't murder any conservatives, they, thems. Corey asks, who's replacing Mitch? So there's a calendar date in particular that matters here. I think it's August 3rd. That's like officially 3-4 months before the election, I think. And if he dies before then there has to be a special election and the governor has to appoint somebody. Some people speculate. So a couple years back in Kentucky, so I'm from Southern Indiana, so we get a lot of Kentucky media in Southern Indiana, you know, campaign ads, local news updates, whatnot. And maybe 5 years ago, the Kentucky state legislator, or the state commonwealth, I should say, it's a commonwealth of Kentucky, passed a law that if an incumbent senator dies in Kentucky, that the governor, no matter who the governor is, must appoint somebody of the same political party of the senator who died. And now, so that means Andy Beshear, even though he's a Democrat, wouldn't be able to appoint a Democrat to the seat. But some people think a compromise candidate would be someone like Thomas Massie. So he might be the replacement, or Beshear knowing, and that could look good for Beshear if he wants to run for president, saying, look, I will appoint Massie, you know, he's helped in some ways or whatever. So Massie could be a replacement candidate. So good question, Corey. Ray Blue, yeah, thank you. Barron says, will there be a party of that? If Mitch McConnell dies, will there be a party? I'm sure some people will be celebrating, but I don't think, I don't know if there will be parties. Correct, 2026, yeah. G Money Forever says, look at how empty the Capitol is, everybody. Yeah, look, yeah, it's just not, when the Congress is on recess, it is pretty bare. You know, they're doing major construction. They're like digging into the ground. That's how empty the Capitol gets during recess. There's just not much going on. And says, y'all at work while Congress is on vacation for the Senate to recess? All senators gave unanimous consent. So all senators basically voted to leave town, including the, quote, good ones. Yeah, that's a good point, G-Money. Yeah, they all chose to go home. Yeah. Sam says, breaking news, Alex Jones on Sneeko. His ass needs to be deported. I'm calling for putting him nonviolently in an airplane and deporting him. Here, let's see. Milk Rice says, dirty sons of bitches. Hell yeah, bring in Thomas Massie again. Sriana says, Jones also said the 25th Amendment trumps ass. We got another colonel in here. Says, who's replacing Platner? That's what we don't know yet. That's to be determined. Yeah, that's to be seen. Right now, we're uncertain of what Maine Democrats are cooking up right now. We've talked about the people that we think might potentially be replacements, such as Janet Mills. The establishment already kind of tried her. They ran her against Platner and her campaign, due to financial struggles and enthusiasm and lack of support, had to suspend her campaign, I think, back in April. So she is probably not going to be, she's the incumbent governor. She's probably not going to be the replacement candidate. So it's somebody that we haven't really heard of before. So, which could be good or bad for Maine Dems. Yeah, it could be a candidate that has nothing in the closet, or it could just be another Platner type guy. So we'll just kind of have to keep following that. They have a couple weeks to decide. So it's urgent. Colonel says Collins will win Maine again. Yeah, she's in good shape, I think. If anyone can, it's her for the GOP. Yeah, so they say he's a vegetable, that he's brain dead, which is very concerning. No question about that. Corey says Massie had work and do bipartisanship with him. LKB says Platner should not drop out. Full stop. So Kirk, these are independent reports that he's brain dead. We have good, he is in the ICU. Like he's not in good shape at all. Like I think he, more likely than not, he has probably cast his last vote ever in the Senate. I don't think he'll return. Now, will he die? I don't know if he'll pass away, though. That's when it gets into speculation, and we just really don't know. They've been keeping his condition very tight-lipped, very secretive. The updates from his office have been very generic, vague, and positive, which is what, we can expect. They're not going to say, oh, Mitch McConnell is going to die tomorrow, or, oh my gosh, he had a heart attack. He's about to die. They're not going to say anything like that, but it's been minimal updates from the office. Let's go to a couple of other comments here. A lot of people on the stream today. Yeah, very, very strong stream going on right now. That's correct. Jammer. Yeah, good point there. He did, or the wife was in China. Yeah, very recently. We think she's returned. So, but that, again, that raises a lot of questions, and more answers that we should demand. So we'll be, depending on his health status, when members return next week, we'll be talking to them about it. Yeah, and we'll be asking them their, what's going on with the senator. So, hey everybody, if it's your first time tuning into the stream, make sure you guys hit that like button, leave the video a like. Also hit that subscribe button as well while you're at it. That's a great way in which you can support the show, help us meet new people, spread our show to other people that need to become awoken. Now, who needs to become awoken in your life? Your boomer uncle who watches Fox News all day, or a neighbor that just doesn't understand what's going on? Send this podcast to them and help them become awoken to the truth of Washington, D.C. Additionally, if you enjoy political debate and discourse, you should join our channel's Discord. We were up there late last night. I was talking with Ethan and Z. Wait, okay, we have some breaking news. British right-wing populist leader Nigel Farage to quit Parliament and run again for his seat amid controversy over financial donations. So some breaking news about Nigel Farage. So, okay, so Carl, this is new then. His wife said yesterday he will not be... oh my gosh, we got a homeless guy. Usually they won't really get this close. Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen a homeless guy on the stream near the Capitol before. Okay, but that would be news, Carl. Yeah. LKB says I would support Thomas Massey, even as Democratic Socialist myself. And Butterfly says doesn't look homeless. Yeah. Thing is, the reason I say he was like screaming. Yeah, he was kind of, there's a couple of homeless people near my day job. And yeah, usually they'll just kind of be screaming about whatever. Not really sure. Oh, wait. Oh, Carly. Okay, I see it now. Sorry. I did not mean to mispronounce your name. Yeah, my apologies, Carly. Yeah, Mr. Good Citizen is in a bit of a little bit of an argument. Yeah, Primal Screams is in an argument. I can't see the profile. I see Nope. That's all I really see. Yeah. Yeah, Rum Runner. Haven't seen Rum Runner before on the stream. No, it is free speech.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I would have loved to have heard what he would have said. He said this guy thinks it's a 2 and a 3. That's really disjointed. He doesn't even know there's any. That's what I mean. He has no idea.
Yeah, same. So a lot of
You know, or it's, he wants to cover up how bad of a fight.
yeah, so yeah, same. The entire Democratic establishment has basically told him to exit the race. Yeah, the DSCC, like the majority PAC that's dedicated to electing, yeah, trying to get a Democratic majority, has told him to step aside. Like the walls are caving in on him. There's no question about that. Randall, what's going on, Randall? Non-issue for us, Mandela. There's a political movement. They call themselves the Cockroaches. LOL. Urban says, what state Skid Row in? Yeah, like, no, California, they definitely have a big homeless population and situation going on that hasn't really improved in a long time. Yeah, chat is crazy. But chat's always crazy, yeah. That's what happens when you have a yeah, that's what happens when you disallow free speech no matter what on the stream. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see every day. Well, I haven't seen John Thune announce he's retiring though. No, he just got to be Senate leader. So I don't think he's going to retire anytime soon. So Mad Max, we are here right outside of the U.S. Capitol building today. But we're going to head down to the mall. We'll check out what's going on in the mall for a second, or we'll show you guys the front side of the Capitol. Yeah, that the Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk trial is going on right now as well. That's kind of I've been getting some updates and some information about what's going on with that. Like apparently he or Robinson was laughing when Erica Kirk was crying and exiting the courtroom. I'm not sure if that's true. I just saw that a lot yesterday. Yeah, and the thing is, there's no cameras or anything during this trial, so it's kind of like a Supreme Court case where there's just going to be no images that we're going to see, I think. G Money Forever says, I hope Scott Pressler destroys John Thune. We must turn South Dakota against that loser. Yeah, so you can tell, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, Pressler had a ticket for some South Dakota GOP dinner or Lincoln Day dinner in the state, and they denied him entrance. Yeah, they did. I don't think they allowed him in. And there was just some really rude guy in that cowboy hat that basically said, you're not allowed to come in because you're posting this to Facebook or whatever. Which I think is that's pretty shitty, honestly. Oh, gotcha. Okay, I understand you, Carly. Well, and I saw McConnell's daughter. McConnell's daughter deleted all of her social media. I'm not sure if you guys saw that as well. So the family is growing tight-lipped about this. That's for certain. And that would signal that things are not going well either. Okay, so Carly, you're from Utah. Do you have an opinion on Mike Lee or the Save America Act, the big bill he's trying to get through this Congress? He's yet to G Money Forever's point. Is that all of those senators, even though they claim the Save America Act is really important, they all did vote unanimous consent to adjourn the Senate for 2 weeks. They weren't at work last week, and they're not at work this week either. They will return the 13th, which is a big day, because that's the day I think Platner has to suspend his campaign by, or leave the race. Yeah, announce that he's leaving the race. So I think the Democrats, they may want to get that situation handled before lawmakers return, so they don't have to answer to the media about it, which is what I think their game plan probably is. Of course, as Talarico needs to gain traction with the African American turnout from Texas Energy. Well, I've been getting a lot of ads for him recently. I think they're definitely targeting young people. That's for sure. Yeah, he's going to need a lot of them. The thing is, even in a blue year, I still think it's tough for Tallarico to. I don't really expect that seat to flip necessarily. Carly says, yeah, I like Mike Lee. He's cool and not corrupt. And I think we definitely need to pass that bill. What's going on, Penguin? Thank you for joining the stream today. Appreciate you being here. 70 of you guys have voted in the poll. 2/3 of you think Platner should drop out of the race. And that's what I think it's just writings on the wall. Writing is on the wall for him, ultimately. How many millennials and Gen Z are in the seat? Silent generation stayed as long as could and spoke. Yeah, they've been around. Like, there's several, like Chuck Grassley, I think he's in his mid-90s. McConnell, he's in his mid-80s. There are several other senators and members that are in their 80s as well. So pretty big. Yeah, it's like I think the average age is like 60. Yeah, I think the average age, like for a senator, is like almost retirement age for citizens, which is just crazy. Yeah. So yeah, they're still taking down stuff from America 250. Term limits for senators. So when I worked in the Senate, my boss, Senator Braun, he always was supportive of like a 2-term. Yeah, you get 2 terms in the Senate. And I think that's fair. Yeah, like 12 years, that's a long time to work in politics. But yeah, to Randall's point, they would only ever do it if they're allowed to be grandfathered in, or. And then a problem that, so the way the Senate offices work is that you have a chief of staff, deputy chief, other top staff members, and there's really nothing that would prevent the senator from wanting the chief to succeed them, which essentially wouldn't change much anyway. So I think that's the next problem that we would run into. It's that even though the individual member changes, the regime doesn't really change either.
Hey guys, can we?
Do we think Hunter Biden is going to run for president soon? Or just going to enter politics soon, excuse me. I don't know. Maybe if there's like a Senate seat or something in Delaware, I just don't really see him entering like national politics. I could see him maybe running, because Delaware, it's a tiny state, right? It's safely Democratic. If he could get through a primary, he'd easily become the next senator, no question about that. But I'm just not sure. Yeah, I'm just not sure what the voters would do in Delaware. I think that would be his biggest. That would be his biggest deal. Yeah, good question, Ray Blue, though. Yeah. Did McConnell eat enough salads? He did for a long time, at least. No, and you can really see um, the decline of Mitch McConnell, though, honestly. Um, like, I think it became obvious something was wrong when the first time we saw him freeze, like, I think 2 or 3 years ago. It was that press conference in the Capitol building where um, he was, yeah, I can't remember what the topic was, but he just flat out froze and had to be escorted off stage. And if you look at the senators that were behind him, they looked pretty, yeah, they looked pretty concerned. And then you have the second time he froze at the event in Kentucky. He was asked a question on re-election in 2026, and he froze again. And staff had to come in and rescue him and get him off the stage. So, and then more limited public appearances. Less media. During the Trump presidency, he really hasn't spoken much. He's been pretty protected. Let's see. Yeah, Mike Braun, the current governor of Indiana. Yeah, that's who I worked for in the Senate. So yeah, you can definitely see the extended decline, though, of Mitch McConnell. No question about it. I wouldn't say he's far right. No, I don't think that would be fair to describe him as. Sam says breaking news. John Fetterman and all of the people that sent Platner checks, cash checks from Platner, maybe look in the mirror. And Carly says you should watch the second time he froze in slow motion. Pay attention to the woman. Yeah, she intervened. There was definitely a panic. You can tell that it seemed to be pretty urgent to her that the press conference end or that they got him away or whatever it is. But yeah, just like, and it's the voters of Kentucky that unfortunately are the ones paying, or the constituency in the Commonwealth of Kentucky that is paying for this. Ultimately, they don't have a functioning senator right now. And we deserve fair representation. And clearly he is unable to do the job right now. Yeah, for sure. You're right about that, Randall. Yeah, and I guess an extended expansion of his decline. Remember that he fell in the Senate. He was walking to a vote, and a reporter was asking him about something, and he just simply, he fell over. He fell down. He tripped and fell. and collapsed to the ground. And then I think that's the last time we've really seen him walking much. Yeah, like after that, the public appearances really, really, yeah, became limited almost, or not almost, like became like they never happened anymore. Oftentimes he was wheeled around by staff and his team. And then, because he was also hospitalized back in February, I think. Earlier this year, he was in the ICU for like a week. And he wasn't, like, he obviously made it through that. But I don't think that was really previously reported on either, that he was in the ICU. I think they just said he was in the not feeling well and in the hospital for a little bit. But now this has been like 3 weeks and 2 days or something. This has been a pretty long time. Yeah. Jamie says, I seen you last week in background of a news story. Oh, dope. Yeah. No, I'm on the Hill a lot, so there's a good chance that I've been sniped in a couple of images before, of members walking around, especially outside. Why was Mitch pitched? Well, Mitch, I think he's been elected 7 times. He's been around since, I think, 1985 or something. He's been around since the Reagan years. So he's been around for the Reagan years, Bill Clinton years, the George Bush years, the Barack Obama years, and the first Trump presidency and the Biden admin. And like halfway through this president. So he's been around a long time. And it is kind of wild to actually see somebody that you saw on TV so much growing up, like just being being in high ranking in the Senate, like to actually see this like era start to wind down and come to an end. It's kind of crazy, honestly. Yeah, like he's been around it's like legitimately insane. And kind of wild to see this happen. At Grassley, he's been around a long time as well. But he seems to be doing a lot better health. Yeah, he's always outside, like working on his farm. So his physical and mental health aren't really ever questioned all that much because he's always moving and doing stuff and giving speech. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's just a really old guy, simply. But he's doing fine health-wise, it seems like. Sam says, Erdogan says Trump person promised him 5 F-35s. Yeah, I think Netanyahu wasn't too happy about that. Yeah, I'm here in DC, so like I do reporting. I would interview members of Congress as well. So we're doing a lot of fun stuff on the channel recently. Yeah, we're fighting for transparency and accountability here in Washington, no question about it. and we talk about serious, political issues and geopolitical issues and all that good stuff. So, and we're going to lose service right here. Hang on. Let's see if we can cut around. That's right, everybody. Make sure you guys leave the video a like. Also hit that subscribe button. So, well, lots of people on the stream today. Yeah, very strong stream today. So lots of new people here. Excited to see y'all and meet all of you guys. Appreciate you. Sriana says, breaking news. Trump says to U.S. to lift all sanctions on Turkey that were meant to punish Ankara for purchasing a Russian missile system. Oh, okay. So, that's an interesting. That's an interesting point, Randall. Yeah, that's how it used to be. Is that it's only been for a little over 100 years that the population has directly elected the senators. Stay tuned says, Aulden, do you hear that us going leave? Wait. Hang on, let's see what. Aulden, do you hear that U.S. going leave bait so Israel can attack Turkey? Haven't heard that. I don't think. Remember, Turkey's NATO, so Israel wouldn't attack Turkey. Just imagine the consequences of that. Yeah, they'd have. Yeah, that wouldn't be very smart for them to do that. What's going on, Swiss Mike? To your question, of course, he steps back. He's not a Republican, but he may run as one in the future. Maybe, I don't know. He's got a lot of left-leaning positions that wouldn't do well in a Republican primary. Thank you, Carly. I appreciate your appreciate your kind words, Carly. Thank you very much. Say Tuden says, let me rewrite. Did you hear U.S. to leave NATO? So Israel can attack it, or Israel can attack Turkey. Haven't heard that. I don't think that will happen. I don't think we'd leave NATO right now. I have not. I personally haven't heard that. Oh, gotcha, Swiss. Makes sense. Lady's trying to get this squirrel. Trying to lure over this squirrel. Unsuccessful in her quest. Oop. All right, try two. No problem. Stay tuned. Yeah, appreciate you, man. I just haven't heard that. And thing is, I don't think that. I just don't see. And the thing is, Israel, like, Iran hasn't fallen, so that means they'd be at war against Iran and Turkey, and they don't want that. I know, yeah, no food. Yeah, she tried. She tried her hardest for several minutes. Ultimately, was unsuccessful in luring over the squirrel. Yeah, you got a couple like school groups or whatever that's always around. Thing is, right now it's been pretty bare at the Capitol, though. Not, yeah, the Congress is in recess, as we mentioned. What's going on, Faraz? Um, what's going on, man? Well, yeah, because the regime hasn't collapsed. That's why Netanyahu still wants to do work in Iran. Hey, thank you for the gold coin. Don't be a coward. I appreciate your support, man. Yes, I went to the 250th celebration in DC. Well, I did lots of stuff around DC that day. I went to the Nationals baseball game during the morning and early afternoon, and then went to a couple bars with some buddies. And then did some other, hung out with some buddies that night. Didn't go to the mall for the fireworks because there were so many people there. I did not want to get in the middle of all of that stuff, ultimately. But yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff going on, and there's still stuff going on, like the IndyCar race is in August. So there's still some stuff that's going to happen this summer. Randall, because I think or 2 days ago. Hey, dude, that's dope, dude. Yeah, good morning, Dirty Money. Nice to see you again, brother. What's going on, Waffle 62? Selena girl, not married, no girlfriend either. Spartacus says, good morning, brother man. Thanks for popping in the stream. The fireworks were good. Yeah, the fireworks were very, very nice, very sweet, pleasant. I think it was the world record in terms of how many fireworks there were. There were more fireworks. Shot off during that specific show on Saturday than in world history. So pretty cool. A pretty cool event there. Didn't get a chance to go to the UFC fights. I was actually stuck in the Knoxville airport because they shut down the airspace. Yeah, they shut down the airways, so I couldn't get back to DC. Let's go, Dirty Money, more gold coins. Yeah, thank you, brother. James says, breaking news: 3 tankers have been struck in the Strait of Hormuz. I'm a fan of wholesome questions. What's your favorite American breakfast? Give me some scrambled eggs with, like melted cheese, chocolate chip waffles. And a cup of coffee as well. Also, orange juice is good. Orange juice would be another good one to have with it. But that would probably be my go-to breakfast. Then bacon is always good as well. Yeah, bacon. That's another classic. What's going on? Figures out. Thank you for joining the stream today. We're going to cut through some of the grass. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we still are here at the U.S. Capitol, though. Sriana says, China test launches a nuclear-capable ICBM from a submarine. Wow. Yeah, it did kind of stink. Yeah, Carly, it did stink that weren't able to wasn't able to see the UFC fight, but there's plenty of other stuff we've been able to see and we'll be able to check out. So what's going on, Kurt? Thank you for yeah, good morning, I should say, to you here in Washington, D.C. Good evening to you, though, down in Australia. Nice to see you again. Dirty Money, the man, is pumping these gold coins through. Thank you, brother. Good morning, Bear. What's going on, big brother? Thank you for hanging out with us a little bit this morning. Yeah, we're talking about Mitch McConnell's health, the health mystery that still surrounds the longtime Kentucky senator from the bluegrass state, the Commonwealth of Kentucky. What's going on, Yuppie? Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Guy says the latest accusations against Platner allegedly occurred in 2021. So the excuse that his bad behaviors in the distant past doesn't ring true. Yeah, and I think congressional Dems and establishment Dems are reason I think they're calling for him to go is obviously the allegations they believe are troubling. But there's also a reality that who knows. Yeah, imagine if there's more stories like this and they can just strategically drop them as we continue inching closer to the midterms. So I think that's some of the issue. They don't know what else they might have on this guy or whatever the situation is. John says breaking news. Trump on Greenland. That's what hurt my relationship with the NATO because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Trump right now just said Greenland should be controlled by the U.S., not by Denmark. We could remove all our soldiers out Europe. They better be careful. Yeah, he'll go off and on about pursuing Greenland. I think the biggest push was like back in January or something like that. Yeah, several months ago, about him trying to acquire Greenland, the world's largest island. And there's only 50,000 or some odd people that live there, so it's not a huge, not a big population. Thank you for the gold coin, man. Yeah, these gold coins, yeah, they're heading our way. Thank you, brother. Appreciate your continued support to the show, man. Everybody, if it's your first time on the live stream, make sure to leave the video a like and also hit that subscribe button as well. Great way in which you can support the show. Additionally, if you're a fan of political debate and discourse, you should definitely join our channel's Discord. There's about 50 or so of us in there now, where we had a late night. Ethan, Z, and myself, we were up late chatting in the voice rooms pretty late last night. And that was a lot of fun to do that. So you should definitely join, again, the Discord and have a conversation with us sometimes and then off of the stream.
Aqui caiu para você aqui, ó.
Oh, shut up, Ethan. That means, so are you saying you're not intelligent life either, if there's no intelligent life in the Discord? Hey, what's going on, Yo Mean Mama? Thank you for joining the stream today. Very nice to see you. A guy asked McConnell's wife in China. So we believe she's probably back now, but his condition is really unknown. Yeah, there's some reports saying he's essentially a vegetable. There's the official statements from his office tended to make it sound like he's getting better and doing work. Yeah, he's doing work for voters in the Commonwealth of Kentucky or whatever. But we don't really know the truth. Yeah, when he started freezing, that was definitely the beginning of the end, I think, for sure. Because then we kind of went through the timeline of him, of his kind of end of his career. But yeah, he froze those couple times, and then he started falling. He's fallen a couple of times, and the hospital stay back in February, 8 days in the ICU then, and now it's been over 3 weeks. Once again in the George Washington Hospital. So again, very concerning. Doesn't seem to be doing all that great. To be honest, I think it's Maloney of Italy. That's the person. Yeah, back to the World Cup. Yeah, we were talking about the World Cup a couple minutes. They just really never seem to be all that competitive, honestly. Yeah, they really, like, Belgium came out strong. They got the first goal within, 10 or 15 minutes. And then even when the United States tied the game, Belgium, they retook the lead after like 1 minute. So U.S. just kind of came out flat, and this seems to be every World Cup. This game seems to be the game that they can't win. They can't ever make it to the final eight. So, yeah, that's just kind of the reality with that. Now, at least we can go back to pretending, or stop pretending that we care about soccer. So Andy Barr, I know he's a congressman. He's a member in the he's a member of the House. But thing is, I don't really know all that much about him other than that. His campaign has been pretty minimal, of really just being pro-Trump, and that's really all I really know about him, is that he likes Donald Trump and wants to do what he thinks is right for the country. Sriani says, totally unimaginable. American social media influencer Jackson Hinkle led "Death to America" chants in front of a crowd of several thousand Iranian regime supporters during a rally in Iran. Yikes. Yeah, that guy needs to be deported. Or something, something like that. That's not good. Yeah, that is unimaginable. Yeah, you are right, Mr. Good Citizen. There's a lot evil in that building there. Wish it could be a little better. Yeah, that's why we gotta keep grinding brick by brick every day. So who's Swiss got? Who are they playing? What's going on, Molly? Thank you for popping back in the stream. Yeah, I haven't seen Rum Runner in a second. Maybe he went up. Maybe he changed streams or something, or he's typing. Thank you for the gold coin. Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you, Spartacus. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, just a reminder, make sure you guys have liked the video. Make sure you have subscribed as well if you're new to the channel. We're here in DC talking politics, talking to members, all that good stuff, geopolitical as well. Yeah, today's main topics, we are talking about Senator McConnell and his health mystery. As that continues to unfold, the third week of his hospitalization now. Do you think yeah. There he is. Swiss versus Colombia. Ooh. Colombia, yeah, they're pretty solid, aren't they? But Randall, good question, Randall. With the Democratic Socialist v. Democratic Capitalist turmoil, do you think the goalposts actually moved or no? Um, what do you mean necessarily? But like, for which goalpost do you mean? Like for Democrats or like for the population? Yeah, will be a tough game. What's going on, DD? Hey, DD Saracen, how was your 4th of July in Washington, brother? Yeah, what were you up to this weekend? Anything cool? Did you go down to the mall? Ah, I gotcha. Cool, cool. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a pretty sick car. But well, hope you had a good 4th though, Mr. Saracen. Yeah, always cool. Always cool seeing you on the stream, brother. Yeah, so we got the 3rd off as well. So we got a 3-day weekend. Yeah, Ray. Yeah, like a purple Cybertruck. That would be so badass, dude. Hmm. Well, the thing is, like, so what do you think the original goalpost was? Maybe I'm just not like are you thinking that with more like further left candidates, it makes it harder for moderate candidates to get elected? Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, there's no holidays in August and there's no remaining holidays in July. So, yeah, we're just all kind of waiting until September now. Yeah, yeah, Randall, I definitely think like especially the candidates that are losing to these far left challengers, they're all incumbents that have been in Congress for a decade or so at least. Yeah, like that lady in Colorado, Diana, I think her first name is. She had been in Congress for like 30 years until she lost her primary. Um, the the chair of the Hispanic caucus, he had been around for a long time. These are incumbents that have been around now. Like Dan Goldman, I think he had only been around a couple cycles, but yeah, like especially if it's a safe blue district, if these candidates don't incumbents don't change or the Democratic establishment candidates don't go a little further to the left, then they're just not going to have I don't think the votes are just going to be there anymore. Because that district in Colorado, I think that was basically just downtown Denver. You know what I mean? So like the big cities are just absolutely spitting out these establishment Democrats right now. Yeah, APAC is a big thing for Democrat primary voters right now. Like, they're definitely, in terms of the Israel-Palestine issue, they absolutely sympathize with the Palestinians by far, over the Israelis, and it's starting to get that way a little bit on the GOP side. It hasn't gone there yet, but it's trending that way. Because I was talking, like on the voice call last night, like basically, other than the state of Israel itself, the only other like group or institution that is like still pro-Israel is the Republican Party in the United States. Like, the Democratic Party voters are done, and even a lot of the GOP younger voters are done with it as well. So, yeah, it's really elected officials and the Republican Party that are keeping the support there. Yeah, and I think what you're not going to see yet are these far left candidates, like in the swing states, I think, or in the swing districts at least. Because think about, like, look at what happened yesterday. We talked about the Michigan Senate race. That was one of our topics yesterday. And if Mike Morrow dropped out, and a lot of people are thinking that was to consolidate support around Haley Stevens, and Haley Stevens is the more what Democratic primary voters would describe as the centrist, as the AIPAC-backed candidate, you name it. And she's facing off against Abdul El Sayed. He's more the DSA, the Medicare for all, the anti-it, and he's also a Muslim. Stevens is a white lady, so there are some stark differences between the two candidates, and I think that's the race to really pay attention to. Can these DSA candidates win competitive primaries and like swing states where Al Sayed, he'll get a lot of votes in Detroit and whatnot. He'll run up the score in the urban areas, but will the rural Democratic voters or the more suburban voters, will they be comfortable with him, or will they go with Stevens? I think that's the question that will be answered at some point next month, because those are the two candidates left. Okay. Let's go. Ray had a question. Okay, yeah. Aulden, what's your opinion on the state of the American economy? Are we climbing at a level or heading down? Or does it depend on the voter's location background? I think some of it, right? Like, the major cities, they're just simply going to be more expensive than rural Nebraska or rural Texas. But the opportunity flips as well, right? Like, maybe if you really want to be a rancher or a farmer, herd cattle, those places are great for you. That's your opportunities there, plenty of land, have your own farm, etc. But if you want to get in a business, man, that's going to be tough in, rural Nebraska, per se. Not impossible, just a lot harder. So I think some of it is location, but I also, like stuff is still continuing to, prices are still rising. Oop, are we buffering? Sorry. But yeah, I think some of it is, it's just going to be hard for young people, right? Homes are really expensive right now. So like, there's a way I think the economy can improve. It's going to take more time. Yeah, we're still kind of in COVID recovery a little bit. The government, it printed a lot of money during COVID, so that stuff has to settle in. Uh, let's see what that is. Yeah, I think they're just going. I just don't see how Platner stays in the race. The finances are going to dry out. Yeah, the party is not supporting him anymore. They've announced. And look at what we got here today. Look at this selection. Gotta go purple though. Hi, good.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. We got our monster for the day. We're in good shape. Ray says, yes, that was my first thought when they injected a bunch of money for stimulus. We're all going to end up paying for this later. Yeah, I just think we're still in the middle of that, which just makes it tough no matter who's in charge, I think. National Pork Producers Council truck. A poly market. Ooh, damn, yeah. Like I think there's a chance that he was going to drop out like during this stream. I think even. Nice Versace's, brother. I love the Versace's. That Ray is correct, and want to give a big thanks to Ray again for yesterday's super chat. Ray was generous enough to leave a $19.99 super chat yesterday. Got me lunch yesterday, so that's a big victory there. So thank you very much. Yeah, guys, would love your support. Helps us out with August travel, and all that other good stuff. Equipment upgrades. We'll try to get more a better cell phone plan, internet plan, and all that good stuff. Yeah, he's left me a lot of those gold coins today. Everybody, if you're new to the video, enjoying the video, make sure to leave the video a like as well. Additionally, if you're enjoying the political commentary, enjoy Washington, D.C. politics, make sure that you leave, hit that subscribe button as well. So I deeply appreciate your support in that regard, too. Sedona 3688 says, who cares about the alien files? Release the Trump signed files now already. Sam says, breaking news, Representative Tim Burchett of Tennessee calls for the FBI to immediately release all files on Seth Rich. That's a big one there. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, Sam and Sir Yanish are doing great for the breaking news updates today. Lots of fun breaking news to share with you guys. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Yeah, welcome to the channel, Rum Runner. Yeah, I don't think I've seen you before this morning, so you've been on a lot today. Oh, I think we got a snake up here. No, it's just somebody's hair. Oop, false alarm. I thought that was a snake from a distance. Breaking news from Fox News. Manhattan high-rise evacuated as officials warn of potential collapse. That's frightening. Sam says ex-Florida Democratic gubernatorial nominee who lost to Ron DeSantis, Andrew Gillum, arrested for drug. Was he arrested again? No way. Wow. I think he got arrested a couple years back, but I didn't know he got arrested again. Whale 42 says Turtle Mitch McConnell's dead and the GOP is covering it up. Dang, that's crazy, Sam. Yeah. Gillum, remember how close Gillum was to winning? Yeah, Gillum was really close to winning in 2018. And man, how critical of election was that for Florida? Yeah, they went red and they've never really looked back. So we're going to head by the Supreme Court over here. Yeah, we were at the Supreme Court last week for a couple of days. A few big days of decisions released by the highest court. Yeah, on birthright citizenship, transgenders playing in female sports, geolocation tracking, and several other big cases released last week by the highest court in the land, which is right here in front of us. So say hi to the Supreme Court, everybody. Unhinged says, why cover it up? Mitch's seat gets filled by a Republican till either election in November if a seat was up. So McConnell's term is set to expire in January. This is, he would be running for re-election. So it is it is the seat's turn to be up for election. Which makes things a little cleaner if a transition were need to happen, but it does complicate things because some people are thinking they're trying to keep it hidden because of the potential election. There's the Capitol building again. Who's the leader right now from Polymarket? Who's like projected going to be the nominee? Is it Gavin Newsom? Yeah, like she's what AOC does have going for her is that she's on a hot streak for winning these primaries recently. So if you can get the primary voters behind you now, she can start building a base, like a legitimate base. So back to flock cameras. Those are what they're put up by police departments. Is that right? They're put up by police departments to try and catch people speeding. Is that right?
It was like right before his therapy.
Well, I don't think what people forget sometimes is that Hillary Clinton did win the popular vote in 2016. And I think the reason Harris didn't do well is that the Dems were lying about Joe Biden. And the thing is, she never had to go through a primary to prove herself either. So it wasn't the most typical election last time. But yeah, to the flock cameras, though, I wouldn't. Yeah, the thing is, I haven't read the issue enough, but I'm generally against mass surveillance. So yeah, I'd be opposed to them. Yeah, there's a lot of, and man, do they, especially in DC, man, like, there's a funny, well, I shouldn't say funny, but there's like a well-known kind of meme almost of there's this like Virginia driver or something that has, I think, hundreds of thousands of dollars of tickets. Beeping's back. Of like tickets that have been recorded by the flock cameras, and how it's just simply never going to pay them. Yeah, and that's a big problem right there. Is that we definitely don't want that. So. Same says breaking news. Fetterman demands Bernie Sanders apologize for pushing predator Graham Platner on the Dems. Doing on Thunder Rules 25. Thank you for joining the stream today. Nice to see you, man. Everybody, if you're new to the live stream, make sure you leave that video a like. Also hit the subscribe button as well. If you haven't yet. We'll be, we're going to start, we're going to be on about a couple more minutes. Yeah. All right, Randall, I'll catch you tomorrow, brother. Yeah, for a couple more minutes, we'll be on today. And then we'll probably cut it for today and get back with you guys tomorrow. Any close? So yeah, just kind of recap what we talked about today. Our main topics: the Maine Senate race. Graham Platner probably sometime today is going to suspend his game, maybe if not today, tomorrow, and we'll just have to keep track and keep following what is going on about Mitch McConnell and his health. Very minimal and mum updates from the senator's office. So, but okay, everybody. Well, I think we're going to cut things off here today. I really appreciate you all being here today. A lot of fun at being with you guys. Appreciate hanging out with you guys. Very strong stream today. I had lots of new people, lots of great discussion, lots of fun. So, but yeah, we're going to cut it off here. You guys have been awoken with Aulden. Much love, everybody. We'll catch you tomorrow for Awoken Wednesday. I'll see you guys in the Discord later today, though. Our poll, 129 of you guys voted, and about 2/3 of you guys believe that Graham Platner should